So good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us, and welcome to this Every Cloud event in partnership with Acronis and Castello di Bossi, where we'll be focusing on why it's critical to keep your Microsoft 365 environment backed up and how you can go about it. My name's Rob Mukherjee. I'm the Director of Transformation at Every Cloud, and I'm delighted to be sharing hosting duties with Candid West, who's the Vice President of Cybersecurity Research at Acronis. And you'll also see on your screens, we're also joined by Andrea Piras and Joaquin Bosca from the Castello di Bossi vineyard over in Toscana. So thanks for the wave there, guys. So for those of you who did take us up on our offer of a couple of bottles of wine all the way from Tuscany, do feel free to open a bottle now. You'll see I've got mine there ready for when I finish my little opening. But so please do join us for a glass, and do make sure you save a little bit at least for when Andrea and Joaquin spend some time giving you a little bit of an overview of the wines later on, and a virtual vineyard tour as well. We do want to feel that this is a relaxed and informal event, so please do feel free to interact. Use the chat facility if you'd like to ask any questions or make any comments. For anyone who's new to Every Cloud, we're a cloud security and cloud communications business. And our purpose in life is to help people work anywhere securely. And we do this for businesses ranging from global financial services companies like BDO, Interactive Investor, hospitality entertainment businesses like Odeon Cinemas, for example, Coke Brasseries. And we have law firms, travel companies, manufacturing, healthcare, and Premier League football clubs. So we're pretty sector agnostic because, you know, who doesn't have people working remotely, and who doesn't have data that they need to secure? And we do this by applying our two core themes that we call protect and connect. And we protect businesses through best of breed cloud security, cloud backup solutions, and backups obviously very relevant to today, advanced phishing solutions, identity management solutions, etc., etc. I should say phishing protection solutions, not phishing solutions, obviously. And then we also seamlessly connect businesses with their customers, with their colleagues, through cloud communications and cloud-based contact center solutions. And in doing that, there's a really important philosophy that we hold dear here at Every Cloud, which is around our belief in building a people-led future fueled by technology, and not vice versa, not a technology-led future. It has to be people-led, where technology is just the fuel. Obviously a really important fuel, but ultimately a fuel that acts as an enabler for people to do great things. And one final aspect we work hard on is really trying to help our clients get more for less. So there are opportunities always for rationalization, consolidation, etc., to help you get the most value that you can out of your IT spend. And again, we choose to work with vendors that enable us to deliver on that opportunity to optimize. So hopefully that gives you a quick flavor of Every Cloud and what we're all about. On that note, I would like to hand back over to one such vendor that we're privileged to partner with, and that is, of course, Acronis and Candid. And just a reminder, please do feel free to pop any questions and comments in the chat. Over to you. Thank you, Candid.
Perfect. Thank you for the introduction, and also good afternoon, good evening from my side. As mentioned, my name is Candid West. So I have the pleasure of executing all those malicious phishing emails and everything that people do receive, and then analyze what's happening to make sure that if one of your customers or yourself accidentally clicks on it, nothing bad happens. I do have a glass ready as well, but as you can see, mine's empty because I try to get through the next 15 minutes of some hopefully interesting information about what we can do and why we should do some of the things. But as Rob said, feel free for your end to start letting some air to that nice wine. I can definitely recommend it, but yeah, leave some for the tasting that we can also go over it and talk about that. So for today, we thought, let's talk about Microsoft 365, right? And the first question is, do we actually need some data protection around it, right? I mean, Microsoft is big, they spend a lot of money on protection. So if you pay for the Office 365 or now Microsoft 365, isn't that everything already covered? And the answer, of course, is no. And I'm going to elaborate a little bit on why not. Just one example here from last year, where some unfortunate incident happened with some consulting people from KPMG, which accidentally deleted the Microsoft Teams of about 145,000 people. And since this is not backed up data, it means that information has been gone and lost. So yes, if you go to Microsoft, they will provide some service, but it's not that they cover everything. And that's exactly the point. You're still the owner of the data, and it's still your responsibility to back up the data, to make sure that you have it and that you have all the data you need. So it's not just about accidental deletion. That's of course one thing, right? Human error, could be hardware which is failing, but it's also about retention policies. Because sometimes, depending on which sector you're working in, right? If you're on the healthcare sector, maybe you need to cover a little bit longer. So you have to read into the fine print, and maybe the ones that you thought are kept by Microsoft are only kept for 3 months, but you actually need it for 12 months. That's exactly where you kind of need the secondary kind of help from Acronis to actually do a proper backup across all those different services. Then, yes, there's also the maliciously deleted data. Most of you probably heard about the big ransomware case in the US against the Colonial Pipe, one of the largest fuel pipe, which was offline for about 1 week, resulted in some people filling up plastic bags with gas at the stations because they were afraid that the gas stations would run out of petrol, and some did. Although I'm not recommending filling up plastic bags with petrol, absolutely not. But there, it was not the pipeline directly which was attacked, it was actually the billing system which got compromised and all the data was encrypted. So that's kind of showing you that yes, in the end, they still want to make money. That's part of it, why they shut it down. They paid $5 million to get the decryption key from the cyber criminals. And then later they found out that decrypting it with the decryptor from the bad guys actually takes too long. So they still had to go back to the backups and use the backup to recover it. Which means A, they spent 5 million for, yeah, a nice try, but didn't really help them too much. But B also shows you need to have a backup and disaster recovery strategy, right? You need to have something which is efficient in restoring the information you need, and specifically just the information that you need at that time. Maybe you don't need the 20 terabyte of data. Maybe you just need that single email from that very, very important VIP customer that you can at least move on with the business for the next day. And then there are also kind of the other things. How about if you actually stop paying for the Microsoft 365 licenses? Maybe you're moving licenses from a, I don't know, E5 to an E3 contract. Are you sure that you're not losing any data? Because maybe now you're no longer licensed and they just delete the data of the users that you do no longer care about, right? So those are all the things that you should keep in mind, because otherwise you run into compliance issues, you might lose productivity, there might even be some GDPR fines, right, if some of the data goes into the wrong hands. And of course, your customers, they don't really like it if you have to say, hey, unfortunately, I lost all your data. Can you resend all those orders for the nice wine that you want to get from us? So my simple and, yeah, a bit provocative message here is don't procrastinate. Do it. Well, maybe not now, as I said, we hope to get some interesting taste buds on the wine, but after it, or maybe tomorrow, with a clear head, go and actually start it. And of course, yes, I might be biased, but we of course recommend using Acronis, because Acronis offers you a very nice and easy solution across Exchange, across Microsoft OneDrive, SharePoint, Microsoft Teams. So you can back up all of those. You can do agentless backups, meaning we can directly connect to the Microsoft 365 cloud and copy it from their cloud to our cloud, or to your own cloud, or even to Google Cloud if you decide to do so. And as I mentioned, we then allow also granular restore. So it's not a everything or nothing. You can decide what you want to restore, and that helps you speed up the whole process. And for example, if you have new users joining, they will automatically be added to the group that you have defined and will automatically be added to the same plan. So their data will be backupped, their emails will be archived and everything. So it's a very easy and efficient way to go for it. And just to kind of give you two examples here, one being for Microsoft Exchange, you see here on the right screens with the different mailboxes, which we defined, yes, please archive and back up all those emails, which includes, of course, contacts, events, any calendar entries that you have. So everything around Exchange. And then later on, you can search through all those emails in the backup and say, hey, what was that about the bossy email? Where did I get that nice email bottle from, right? So you can search it. Even in the backup itself, you can reply to the email. So you don't even need to restore the email. You just can send, hey, please send me another 12 of that nice bottle of the red wine. And, well, you can download the attachments. You can restore the custom points that you want. And this even works in a mixed environment. So maybe at the moment you're running a on-premise Exchange server. Hopefully you have it patched, right? In February, there was a huge vulnerability, the zero logon vulnerability for Microsoft Exchange on-premise, which cost a lot of people their data as well because attackers used it to compromise the organizations. But if you have it and you want to switch to Microsoft 365, maybe you only want to switch with one department or one subdomain, right? You can do that, of course. Acronis supports on-premise version and also cloud version, so you can have both. And you can even restore, for example, from the on-premise version to the cloud. So if you do a backup on the Exchange on-prem now, you can later restore those emails to the cloud should any incident happen, right? So that means you don't need to redo all the backups just because you moved to the cloud now, making the transition very easy. And again, meaning there's no excuse of not doing it. You should definitely back up those Exchange servers. But it's not just Exchange, right? We also got the OneDrive, which has a lot of interesting data as well. So you should back up those as well. We offer filtering as well. So you can say, only give me the nice Office documents. I don't really care about the videos from the marketing department. No offense for the marketing, but maybe those are not too important to archive. And then again, you have the same granularity of picking the ones that you want, searching through it, and only get the data that you need, which speeds up the whole process. As I said, you don't need to restore 2 terabytes of data just to find that one single email with the password that you unfortunately deleted. And yes, I know we talk about Microsoft 365 here, but some people might have even more hybrid approach, right? Maybe they have Google G Suite, maybe they have some data on Amazon, AWS, or a few Macs, a few Linux servers. Acronis has you covered. So we can cover over 20 different platforms from one single console. So no matter if we're talking about some Linux web servers, some Exchange on Microsoft, you can manage all of those with one console, making it very easy and not kind of the hassle of jumping from one console to another and maybe even making mistakes while you do so. And this is also important because backup is very important, right? Nobody wants to lose data. But unfortunately, the bad guys, they do a lot more, which is why Acronis moved not away from backup, but kind of expanded the backup, right? Which is what we call cyber protection. Because we know backup alone won't protect you against all of those attacks. Rob mentioned at the beginning phishing, right? So we do have the anti-phishing. We protect against phishing attacks. We can block them because it's very convenient at the moment for the attackers during the pandemic to attack you and kind of send you one of those parcel delivery emails from UPS, FedEx, and say, hey, there's some nice bottle of wines coming to you. Just click here and then put in your credit card or your password and you figure out, hey, I already got the bottle. So this obviously is a scam. The same for vulnerable systems, right? I mentioned the Exchange server. We also saw that VPN, Citrix, a lot of those services might have vulnerabilities and you need to patch them. So making sure that you're on track of all the applications that you use and updating those is very important. And unfortunately, yeah, we see that the attackers are kind of searching for the weakest link. You might have heard about the SolarWinds software supply chain attack. So someone attacked SolarWinds and then used their software to distribute malware into other companies. And of course, that's not just on the software vendor perspective. We see it on every level. So if you partner with some other companies, this trust relationship might be misused by an attacker, and suddenly they misuse maybe the software distribution system inside your environment to distribute malware instead of some good software. Ransomware, yeah, very popular at the moment. Your neighbors in Ireland, they are suffering in the healthcare system. So HSE, the National Healthcare System, Department of Healthcare, they all got attacked and compromised by Conti ransomware. And for the HSE, they're demanding $20 million US. Hopefully they won't get it, so they're not paying, but sometimes they do get, like DarkSide with the Colonial pipeline in the US. They not just got the 5 millions from them, they actually got 17.5 million US dollars since March this year. So 17.5 million in less than 3 months. That's a big paycheck. So why would they stop, right? The only way to stop them is to protect yourself so that they might go to the weaker, not protected neighbor. I know it's not friendly, but better look for yourself first and then help your neighbors in that case. And of course, yes, we saw many people move to the cloud, like Microsoft 365, which is good, that's awesome, but you need to make sure that you know what you're doing, configure those services right, because otherwise you might expose yourself, right? There might be some container, Docker, Kubernetes, there might be some data buckets or file share servers which are not protected because they're badly configured. And of course, every cloud can help you here as well to find out where there might be weaknesses, where the services are badly configured. So with that, strongly recommend to go and test out the Acronis Cyber Protect, which is the backup and recovery part that I just mentioned, but also a next generation anti-malware part with artificial intelligence, with signatures, with behavior heuristics, everything you would expect, and a management part which has vulnerability assessment, patch management, remote access, and everything else that you need to manage those systems. So all of this in one single package. And yes, I know I sound like a broken record, but do it now. Well, do it this week. Not too overstressing it. And to make it very easy, every cloud can help you. There's a free trial to test the Office 365 backup. So nothing to lose. Try it out. And we're convinced that you will see that it is very easy and efficient. And hopefully we can convince you that this is the future to go and move forward to protect your data with Acronis together with every cloud and make sure that you can enjoy your wine without having to worry about data backups, data loss, and all the other things. And with that, I'm already closing my short introduction here. I hope it was interesting. If there's any questions, and I think there's one or two which popped up, let me go through them. So one question is, can backups be encrypted for privacy? Yes, they can. So you can encrypt backups with your own keys, which means that they can be stored in the Microsoft cloud, but Microsoft or Google or whoever will not be able to see the content. You're the owner of the keys, and therefore you're the master of the data. Will the Microsoft 365 backups be enough to recover from ransomware attacks? Good question. I mean, depends on what else you have, right? If you have a very important, let's say, web server running on Linux, then of course the 365 backups won't be enough because you still need to recover your your web server. So basically, every data that you need, every data that you have should be backed up. Microsoft 365 is one important part. And yes, if that server is attacked by ransomware, then it is absolutely enough for us to recover it. But you might have other data that you want as well. So keep that in mind. How long can backups be stored for? As long as you need, actually. Well, as long as you pay the license, to be fair. But there is no kind of aging. Of course, very often, as soon as you no longer need them for legal reasons, people might delete it, or they might go down to just keeping one per month, one per quarter, and then maybe even just one per year. So it depends a little bit on this, but There's not really a technical limitation. And one more interesting question if we have time. So what do you think is the biggest threat to your data in 2021? I'd say two. So the biggest threat is probably ransomware. Well, not just probably, it is ransomware, because ransomware no longer just encrypts your data, they also steal it. There have been already over 2,200 companies, large companies, which lost data, which has been published on the dark web. And there's more and more coming because, as I said, if they make 17.5 million in 3 months, why would they stop, right? It's very lucrative for them. That's why they keep doing it. The second part to my answer would be weak passwords. Very often how they get into your organization is still weak passwords. I know COVID-19 might be an easy rememberable password, but it's not a good password. So for multiple reasons, don't use COVID-19, and probably summer 2020 neither, as passwords. Use strong passwords, unique per service, use multi-factor authentication like those tokens on your smartphone. And if you can't remember all those passwords, use a password manager. This can definitely help you. And I'm looking over to Rob. Do I still have time to answer 2 more questions?
Yeah, sure. I can see those 2 questions. Go ahead, Candid.
All right. I know we're brushing through it there, but good questions. What options do I have with MS Office 365 Enterprise? A lot of options. So not too sure what all the detailed questions are, well, as in what you're after. Office 365 allows already spam filtering and some phishing detections out of the box. So that's already good. But as I said, it doesn't offer backup. So that's not one of the options that you have there. But you can do the filtering, you can do access control, so who has access to the data. You can do those checks. You can do some compliance checks as well for GDPR. It also depends a little bit on what contract you have, right? If it's a E3 or a E5, there's some different additional features that you might get, like the Microsoft Azure Active Directory, which can be used to enforce strong passwords and multi-factor authentication as well. And last but not least, if we start using your solution and then decide to move to another backup provider, do you provide data sets of the information from your system that can still be restored and accessed? So if I understand correctly, it's if you use Acronis, can you use those backups in some other system? Depends a little bit on what other systems we're talking about. As of course, the format that we create with our backup is proprietary, as it's optimized for restore and kind of being quick. We also allow that we can scan the backup in the cloud for malware, patch it before you restore, and all other good ideas. But there are options, and even if there are no options, then of course you can spin up the Acronis backup as a virtual machine in the cloud, and could then from there take a backup to whatever solution you decided to use for. So that saves you the time of restoring it somewhere. You just spin it up in 2 minutes. You have a virtual machine running with the same image that you took a backup, and then you can install your new agent and restore to whatever cloud they use. So yes, possible. Of course, I would have a crying eye because it would be sad seeing you leave from our perspective and from every cloud. But yes, it's no vendor lock-in. So you can go if for whatever reason you decide to do so. And I think that's all the questions I got. So
yeah, great. Thank you, Candid. Really good session. Thank you. Really appreciated that. Really enjoyed it. And it's one of those simple things, isn't it? Things like backing up. You know, there's lots of more complex things that we do at every cloud in the cloud security space, but this is something that, like washing your hands, it's just something that should be routine. You get it done, as you say, and just make it something that happens as standard. Nothing complex about it at all, really, in terms of backing up things like 365. Okay, if there's no more questions, without further ado, I would like to pass over to my friends in Italy, Andrea and Joaquin, and they will talk you through the wine that I know a lot of you have taken advantage of in terms of taking that from us. So over to you, Joaquin and Andrea.
Hello, everybody. This is Andrea and Joaquin. We are from Italy, Actually, I'm from Italy. Joaquin is not, but we are calling you from Italy, from Castello di Bossi in the beautiful hills of Siena. I hope you will see it right now. They're simply amazing. Little introduction about me. I'm Andrea. I'm the hotel manager for Castello di Bossi and the group Bacci Wines, and I'm working for this company from 1 year. Fun fact about me: I love to do the free diving, so I love to go underwater. What about you, Joaquin?
Hello, good afternoon to everyone. I'm Joaquin Bosca. Yeah, and as he was saying, I'm from Uruguay, South America, but my family used to be from Piemonte, so I decided to come here after traveling a little bit to make wine in Italy. I'm a winemaker, and I've been working here since 2017, being part of this group. So I will let you know more about the wines after Andrea talk a little bit about the company.
He's a really true expert. He's making the wine, actually. So what about us? Castello di Bossi is part of Bacci Wines Group, a group of property that is including Castello di Bossi, Renieri in Montalcino, where we're making Brunello, Terre di Talamo on the seaside, and you're going to try this guy later. We have also Tenuta de Renieri and Barbaione, the latest one of our properties. Where we are speaking now is Castello di Bossi, a big property of 700 hectares, where we do also have hospitality. So whenever you want to come to Italy to drink some wine, remember to book a room. So if you drink too much, you have a place to sleep. Besides that, I don't want to steal time to Joaquin, that is going to explain you about Corbaia, one of our main wines, red wines, of course, and Vento, that is coming from Terre di Talamo, one of our property on the seaside. So, Joaquin, what can you tell us about Vento and Terre di Talamo?
I just wanted to make a question. You hear us well? Yes?
Yeah, we can hear you well.
Perfect. So going from where we are to the seaside, to the Mediterranean Sea, we go on the way to Rome. If we make 1 hour driving, we will ride to Terre di Talamo, and over there is where we produce mainly the white grapes, but also Moreno Scansano, that they are different denominations. In this case, we have the Vento, that is the variety is Vermentino. It's 2020. I wish everyone have a glass to enjoy and to relax a little bit. Cheers.
I have.
So this wine, it is right in front of the sea, on the Mediterranean Sea. This place is really well known for some sport, wind sport, like windsurfing, kite surfing. So it is like a really flat water, and we are right in front, in the hill. This vine have 25 years of the Vermentino. It's a white variety that is coming from Spain across the ocean to Corsica. There is an island in the Mediterranean Sea also, and then getting into Tuscany and Liguria. This wine, just a little bit of the introduction on the fermentation process. It is fermenting in stainless steel. Something interesting about it is like we don't use yeast, we do wild fermentation, and this is something to know about, because it's something interesting to don't put yeast. All the grapes have the yeast, like when we make pizza or bread. So it's good to don't add something different. It make stainless steel, control the temperature, and then go to bottle. To taste a little bit on the nose, it is really mineral. We are like 50 levels meter from the sea. So you can feel on the nose something that reminds you to lemons, minerality. It's like when you smell a stone when you are next to the sea. Saltiness, something with salt. The weather over there is really nice to make wide variety because during the night it's not that warm, so it's perfect for wide varieties. In the mouse, you will find again the lemon and, for example, pineapples, that they are the main descriptor. James Arklin, the critic of wine, always talk about these two. Some people say white pepper also. So,
Salute.
salute. It is really long on the mouse and with high acidity. The acidity next to the sea size going to Rome, it is high. When you are next to the sea, always it is like that. So it's good to plant wide variety, as Vermentino, for example. We also have Viognier and the red, that is Sangiovese. This group is working with, you can compare Brunello de Montalcino next to Amiata, Castello di Bossi and Tenuta de Renieri. The main coincidence that we have in the variety is like all of them are Sangiovese. In this occasion, we have the Corbaia, that is Sangiovese and Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc. So it's still some Sangiovese inside of the bottle. Corbaia is the oldest label that we have in the winery. It has been made with the same label always from almost 150 years ago. We're still producing with the same label. And if I'm able to change to the red wine, I can be talking for ages about processing of wine and how we do it. But it's not the main idea. It's just to give you a refresh how we produce the white and the red. Vado?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I get the last sip of the Vermentino, and now I'm going with the Corbaia. Corbaia is an IGT, so it is an indication geographic typic from Tuscany. In the 1985, there were only 5 labels from Super Tuscany that mainly a lot of people know the EGT as a Super Tuscan. So this wine is made, it's 2016, and it's made mainly 70%, I will on the 2016 of Sangiovese, and Cabernet Sauvignon and Cabernet Franc. It's depending on the year where you would like to add a little bit and change. So Corbaia is fermenting on stainless steel without yeast. That is something to know. After the fermentation, that takes 25 days, depending on the condition of the grapes, is going on wood. We use barriques, that is 225 liters, French barriques, and we settle there for 2 years, depending on the tasting note, on the condition of the wood. We try to use no more than 3 times the oak, but it's only for the EGT, for the Super Tuscany. We are not talking now about the Brunello or Chianti, only EGT Super Tuscany. So after that, it's been 2 years on the barriques. Okay, I can say, okay, Andrea, it's time to remove the wine and bottle it.
I agree.
So you agree? Okay, we will do it. After that, after 2 years, we take the wine. Maybe it can be 2 years and 4 months, depending. Then we put in a different tank. We bottle the wine, and it came into the bottle. We use cork, natural cork, so it's coming from Portugal. And just to talk a little bit about the Corbaia. The Corbaia on the nose is, we always need to remember that there are 3 phases. On the degustation, you have the visual, you have the nose, and you have on the mouth, the tasting. The color is still violet. It's 2016, the wine. It's been in bottles before we sell it for 4 months. So the wine get the balance, because the wine also, as us, get stressed. If we fly with wines, it's not good to open it straight away. we wanted to wait and rest a little bit the wine. So the same thing with this. On the nose, it brings you straight away chocolate. I don't know if you agree with me, but chocolate, cherries, all the smell, what you can smell in here is mature. It's not as a Chianti Classico or a Brunello or a Nebbiolo from Piemonte. It's ripening, it's wood, it's chocolate. So tobacco in this case. So I want to talk a little bit about, again, James Arklin that give us an idea and is really well known. He say, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, feel free to shoot any question
sure.
if you want to. We will answer. But please, Joaquin, keep it.
We can be talking for I think for so long. The Corbaya on the nose, as I say, is tobacco, chocolate is the main descriptor. If you turn around a little bit and you give more time, you can smell more the oak. And the oak is French oak, so it is more like vanilla, so and tobacco, for example. So it's not coffee as a American oak. So it's the descriptor, what they have inside. The Sangiovese give to the wine acidity, as Nebbiolo give freshness on the mouth. It's 2016, so it's passed a long period of time on the oak to get smooth on the mouth. It's easy to drink. It is a full body for me. In my opinion, is when you put it in your mouth, it's like explosion. You have a long and a huge body on the mouth. Let me do it. The Sangiovese give what I say, and the Cabernet Franc and Cabernet Sauvignon always, when we talk as a professional, when we talk about Cabernet Franc and Cabernet Sauvignon, we always remember about green pepper and red pepper. This is the main descriptor of this variety. And in this case, you can remind in the back of your head about the red pepper, in my opinion. Cabernet Sauvignon and Cabernet Franc for sure are in less amount, so it's like 30%, 25%, but give you another complex and a balance between these two varieties. What do you think, Andre? You like?
I think it's really good. I would say molto buono, as we are in Italy. It's definitely one of the wines I will take for a dinner if I have been invited with some friends that I want to bring a very good bottle of wine.
And what about the vento? With what you will eat the vento?
Oh, vento, as my mama will say, I will prepare with some spaghetti with fresh clams, some garlic, olive oil, and parsley, and of course the really fresh clams. That will be a perfect pairing. But also, if you're feeling like to have like a friendly aperitivo, the aperitif, you can have it fresh while you're waiting for some food.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Sounds good.
So, and I've got a couple of questions have come in the Q&A. So, one question, they're obviously very impressed. So, first question was, how do you buy this in the UK?
Oh, there are several ways. If you are a private, you can definitely shop on our website. If you go to www.bacciwines.com, there is the link to our website. Plus, there is some retail shop. If you send me an email, you will find all the contacts on the website. I will address you to the list of shops available, depending also on the city you are located. So,
okay, great. Thank you, Andrea. What we'll do, we'll make sure we get the website detail to everybody. So all attendees will send you that bacciwines.com link when we follow up with you, so you can see that. So my colleague Liz can make sure that you get that. And there's another question that's come through, which is, how soon should you drink the Cobaya? Will it get better over the next few years in the bottle, or should you drink it sooner?
Yeah, with Andrea, we just opened this bottle of Corbaya, and I will say, when you want to answer this question by your own, you will need to say, how are the tannins? And the tannin is how fast the saliva come back to your mouth, because the tannins have a reaction with the saliva, and then your mouth get dry. So this we have green tannin and ripened tannins. In this case, I will say you can still drink Corbaya, and the peak of to open the bottle, it will be from now 4 years. But you can keep, we still having in the winery Corbaya from
Yeah,
18.
the problem is we did the quarantine here, and Marco Bacci, the owner of the company, said, okay, let's take like a Corbaya from the 90s. So we were like experimenting by ourselves how much it can last. Of course, the flavor is changing.
Yeah.
You move from a more fresh flavor to stronger, but it's definitely one kind of wine you can keep, I don't know forever, because if it's good then you drink it, but for sure we have the demonstration that 35 years old Corbaya is still absolutely drinkable.
Great,
So
thank you.
you can keep waiting for the Corbaya, or you can open it now.
My
as you wish.
suggestion, as I'm doing, is to buy one case, take 2 bottles, and then hide somewhere the other 4. Because there is no way to make it age.
There is also another question that is saying, how does the weather impact the wine, and what makes it so special for a vintage? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was reading the second question. Yeah, the weather is like in every single farming that you are doing, is diluting with the water, is making the combustion of acid, and with the high temperature, you have more mature flavor. If you have cold weather, it will be hard to get ripened. So you have the terroir that French people say, that is human, climate, and the vines, and we are in the middle trying to work as a winemaker, viticultures. So the weather changed a lot the wines, also the soil. In here we have, in this area we have stones that are like a circle, and the soil is more deeper. Let me make an example. In Renieri, for example, where is the Brunello, the soil is red. Used to be Monte Amiata, used to be a volcano. So you have another idea. And on the seaside, you are next to the sun, next to the sabia, sand. So it's changed everything. If you have, it's like us, where we, more or less where we grow, we are different. We have different skin. So it's the same thing with the wines. And it makes it so special for a vintage when all of these points can be balanced, and we don't have hailstorm, we don't have frozen. When we avoid all of these things, it can be a special vintage, for example. After that,
it's interesting you mentioned about the weather, because there's another question in the Q&A that I can see, and it says, as winemakers, is climate change something that you are worried about?
Of course we do, because especially you can imagine if temperature is rising too much, the grapes are not having enough flavor, and they are changing the amount of sugar they have inside. And also you have to consider that we are not putting any water on the wines. So if it's not raining, the trees, the vines are dying, so no wine is coming. It's something absolutely we have to look for. You have to consider now it's May, and we have the same temperature kind of November. Mm-hmm. So our trees are they're not on the usual pace of growing. So we are kind of worried as well, because if it's not, probably we will have to do the harvest really late during the year. And we're also worried about sudden heat that can burn also the trees. So Absolutely, yes. Climate is a big part of winemaking. For making good wine, you have to have good grapes. So if we are not able to bring in the cellar good grapes, you won't have a good wine. So finger crossed and keep working for a safe environment. I see there is another question that is about storage condition. Of course, wine has to be stored horizontally. If you store vertically, the cork will dry, and then we will lose all the property of natural cork that make wine oxygenation. Also, temperature. If the temperature is constant, like 15, 16 degrees, the wine is not getting stressed. We recommend to have, for example, the wines placed quite on the ground where temperature is lower, and preferably without lights, because the UV lights are changing the chemical properties of the wine. So you risk, even if we put this bottle 6 months on your kitchen, beautiful to show, but then the lights and the heat
with the air conditioner alone,
yeah,
it won't be good.
It won't be good. So keep care of your wine, and then the wine will take care of your happiness, I would say.
Yeah, from my point of view, more chemical. I can be talking for 3 hours, but yeah, wine is still alive inside. You have small reaction, oxygen, everything, tannins. You have all the pigmentos, all the small pieces that we can see that are still working. So we are not working with a piece of marble or something that is already done. It's changing day by day, depending on the oxygen, as Andrea said, depending on the light, on the temperature. These are the main 3 conditions for the wine.
Yeah, yes, we do. I don't see any other questions, but if you're feeling to ask me and Joaquin everything, you have my email. I repeat the website, www.bacciwines.com, and then we're there. Also, there are also some suggestions about food pairing and our complete list of wines. So have fun, and whenever you want to come to Italy, you know there is a good place to drink wine. Thanks a lot for your time and for the opportunity, and as I would say, salute. Cheers.
Salute. Grazie, amici.
It was a pleasure to see you. Have a good day.
Thank you, guys. Really enjoyed that. I'm personally a massive fan of Italy. As the guys know, I go to Calabria quite often, which is right in the far southwest of Italy, just opposite Sicily. But I hope you enjoyed that, and you know, if you did choose to have a glass of wine with us, hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed listening to Joaquin and to Andrea, and of course, hope you enjoyed listening to Candid as well, because from a protecting our business perspective, it's really important that we look after our data. We hear a lot about data at the moment, how business and the world is driven by more and more data, and now every year that the amount of data in the world is going like that exponentially, and we have to look after it, whether it's business data, whether it's personal data, whether it's sensitive data, or just important data that enables us to run our businesses. So simple things in the same way that, as I mentioned before, washing your hands, brushing your teeth, it's just stuff that we just now do. And similarly, we should look after our data, back up our data. And do you know what the sad thing is? Sometimes you procrastinate. So you can tell I've had a glass of wine now. You procrastinate, and it's like deciding after you've been burgled. You think, right, God, I'd better invest in a burglar alarm now. Please look after your data now. And for everyone on this call, we can give you access to Acronis' cloud backup immediately. And actually, for everyone on this call, we're extending the trial period from 30 days to 90 days. So we can give you 90 days free access rather than just the normal 30 days. And if you want to take us up on that, give it a go. During that time, we can help you with any questions, sort out any commercial arrangements. And if you don't want to carry on with it, you can just switch it off. So if there's no more questions, we will be in touch with you soon. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy your wine if you've opened a bottle, and we look forward to catching with you soon. Thank you, salute, and buona serata.